Hey there, music maker. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about what instruments pair best with the mandolin, as well as my new album release and Magnus's monkey brain and tech struggles. Let's go ahead and dive in. Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus Hayes.
And welcome to the Mandolin Secrets Podcast, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our questions of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolins, guitar, and all things music. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing our questions of the week. What mandolin music are you listening to these days? Does your instrument need a setup now that the weather's changing? And what instruments pair best with the mandolin? We've also got a few new things, some new music from me, and then Magnus's monkey brain and tech struggle. Before we dive into this week's discussion, though, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/podcast to sign up for reminders about our upcoming streams. And if you're curious, just search Mandolin Secrets Podcast on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release new episodes there.
Right. I'm really excited here because you just sent me this this track from your brand new album, and I'm really excited to hear more about it because I wasn't even sure that this was coming out. I remember you've been recording it, but I forgot to realize that, of course, there's a release when there's a recording.
Absolutely. We kind of did drop it out of the middle of nowhere, but it was, there was an article that came out in the magazine Bluegrass Unlimited about this show that we played. Well, you were at the show with Peter Rowan at the Denison Bluegrass Festival.
Yeah.
And that article came out 2 weeks ago, and we wanted the album to drop with the article. So it was kind of like a surprise,
okay. So even almost you're releasing it even earlier than planned then, or?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Get some attraction there, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess for folks listening right now, the name of my band is Appalachian Swing, and the album that we just released is called Remembering the Past. It's kind of a throwback to the Kentucky Colonels, which, for those of you that don't know, was a band from the mid to late 60s and through the 70s. They have a legendary album, Magnus, that was recorded live in Sweden, actually.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, that's kind of like one of their, when they came back for a reunion, this was like a big deal that they played some tours over there in Northern Europe and recorded it. But this album is kind of like a throwback to that band and the playing of Clarence and Roland White, the White brothers. And we actually got Leroy McNeese, the original dobro player from the Kentucky Colonels, to record on this album with us. So we're excited about it.
Wow, that's cool. I'm wondering what kind of venues they were playing that time.
Yeah, I honestly don't know anything about that trip other than the fact that it was recorded in Sweden. I'll have to do some more research on that.
I would be interested to know, actually, because I'm now thinking what would be the venues for Appalachian Swing, and I can of course think of the bluegrass festivals, but yeah, I mean there's plenty of like scenes with acoustic roots music, so could be anywhere, basically. And we're of course gonna play back a sample from the new album, but let's not start in that end. We have other things. I think it was interesting to hear what you just said there when we asked the community, like, what instrument do you think pair best with a mandolin? And there was a quite variety in the answers, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of, this was like, I don't want to say a trick question, but like a loaded question from me, because it was almost a way, I had this idea before I asked it that it was pretty much going to tell me what genre of music each person was into based upon what they told me their answer was. But but that wasn't always the case. It was kind of interesting to see, like I'm looking at Rick in the Facebook group. He said oboe.
Oh,
isn't that cool?
I think it's a combo that I haven't heard. Like at least not like a duo oboe mandolin, but why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
But yeah, we had a bunch of other great answers. Some people said other mandolins. That was their answer. You know, so like we've got probably a mandolin orchestra person out there.
Well,
John. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, it almost resonates with my answer to the question, because I responded like the octave mandolin, which I think is really true, because that's I like this way of phrasing it. I think they are like vanilla and chocolate, like perfect combination, octave mandolin and mandolin.
Absolutely.
And that's why I like recording so many duos and trios using those instruments.
Yeah, I really like what. Oh yeah, what were you saying?
No, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say that Tim Ryan, kind of like on Vanilla and Chocolate, Tim Ryan says in the Facebook group, Jethro Burns said that, quote, the mandolin and guitar have a special relationship. So I feel like even though octave mandolin is in the same family of instruments as the mandolin, there is something special between a guitar and a mandolin, I feel
Absolutely, yeah. That's the reason why I started playing mandolin. Because I played with so many other people playing guitar, and I just fell in love with the combination of the two instruments. So playing with another guitarist, I felt the mandolin suited so well, sort of.
Yeah, I think it is a perfect combo that way. And, you know, octave mandolin and guitar, I feel like they fill that same kind of space, right? Yeah. Like the range and the tone and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And I guess guitar was the most common answer, right?
Yeah, guitar was definitely the most common answer. And I would say kind of like mandolin and guitar family instruments were the most common answers. Like somebody said mandocello down here. Tenor banjo and tenor guitar, somebody said. Yeah, so I think a lot of people agree that there is some kind of special relationship between the mandolin and, you know, guitar and octave.
Absolutely. I heard people like arguing that the piano is much better combination. I haven't played that much with the piano. I'm about to do it actually now in an upcoming concert. So.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I have the feeling like I mean, I somehow feel like they're opposites. The piano is like an like all inclusive kind of instrument, where mandolin is a very limited instrument. So,
I would agree. And it's hard to. I feel like guitar has always been hard to play with piano because of that thing that you just described. The piano can literally it can cover all of the parts.
Yes, it's everywhere, and well, I don't want to go too deep in the discussion, but I think it's also I have the feeling that people are. I'm saying this, and I know so many will tell me I'm wrong, but I feel like people playing piano and mandolin has two different ways of approaching music, almost.
I would agree.
but of course, there's going to be a player who love both and play both. But I for myself, I kind of like the more minimalistic approach of music that the mandolin offers compared to the piano. But that's maybe it's just me.
No, I think I'm with you on that, because the mandolin, you're talking about the kind of limited, you know, you say it's limited, and I guess we can quantify that, right? Like it's limited in its range. It doesn't have as many notes as the piano. Yeah. It's limited in the number of notes that can be played at the same time. You can only do 4 at the same time. So
And in
I feel like that's why you see it.
volume
Yes.
somehow, and in expression in general.
Yeah. So it's almost like the mandolin is better suited to work with other string instruments that are limited in the same way, so they can be put together to create something like a piano would be able to create.
That's
right?
and that's I think that's very well said. And that's the way, at least the way I like that kind of being, and well, to make the mandolin really come, the full potential of the mandolin is best presented in the context of other musicians.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the piano is not. I can play things on the piano that people like. Oh, that sounds very good. Sort of. I have it's more difficult for me to do it on the mandolin. even if I'm spending my dedicating my life playing that instrument. That's just interesting. But I kind of like the challenge and
No, man, I think you're onto something. I believe it was, I don't know the quote exactly, but people always talk about Stravinsky, the 12-tone composer and everything or whatever, said that he found liberation in the restrictions of the 12-tone system. And a lot of people use that quote to kind of like talk about other like limiting factors like the mandolin's range and the number of notes can be played. It's actually a liberating thing to have the path set out for you like that. Like here's what you can do with it. So what can you do within these boundaries? That's cool. Right?
There's some strict guidelines, sort of.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And hey, talking about mandolin and octave mandolin, I want to play back a short clip from the latest video lesson published yesterday. People are maybe listening to this as an the recorded version, but yesterday on Tuesday 23rd of May I published a new lesson for some Nordic folk music. It's Vals efter Pål Karl. It's like a sort of a trio arrangement with a melody, the octave mandolin playing the chords, and there's a harmony part to it. So just listening, it's 2 minutes of music that I want to play back, and then we can continue on with other questions. But here comes Vals efter Pål Karl. 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, and people could also hear it's fiddle playing there, and it's my good friend, fantastic fiddle player called Lena Jonsson from Sweden.
Lena, she's so great.
Yeah, and it was interesting recording. We recorded 7 tunes in a day, me and Lena, and it was so easy. We were playing everything like in unison, so that I could add the melody, the harmonies, and the chords and all that afterwards. And playing unison, I never recorded it like that before, and I thought this is going to be tricky because we're going to do so many, our own ideas, sort of how it should be played, but it was remarkably smooth, actually, doing it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, every one that I've heard you guys put out has been great. You know, it's the mandolin and fiddle pairing is beautiful that way.
Yeah, and I also, for this music, I thought it's good to have the fiddle there, because there's so much in the music that is I find best presented on the fiddle. It's fiddle music.
Yeah, so, it's the spirit of that of your country's genre or whatever, right? Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting to get that element in there.
Yeah.
And please check out the video. This tune, I think it's quite simple to play, actually. So even for beginners, I can recommend to check it out. Yes, this is actually leading to the next questions. So we asked the community, what mandolin music are you listening to these days? How would you answer it, Hayes?
Yeah, so I have been revisiting some interesting mandolin music. There's a group that's called the Whippoorwills from like the late 40s, early 1950s with a great electric mandolin player named Doug Dalton. Yeah.
Doug.
And yeah, so I've kind of been revisiting that stuff. Roy Lanham and the Whippoorwills, for anyone who wants to listen to it. If you're into like that Tiny Moore or Jethro Burns kind of thing, it's kind of along that vein. But they have like 3-part vocal harmonies and arranged parts with the mandolin and guitar and stuff. It's real fun.
Is it electric mandolin, you said?
Yeah, the guy plays a Gibson EM 150 with 8 strings on it. Oh. So it's a normal, like, GDAE 8-string 4-course mandolin, but with a pickup on it. So it's kind of a different electric mandolin sound than we're used to hearing, right?
Yeah. I would be very interested to hear this, actually.
It's really neat. I'll shoot you a link, and we can include it for anyone listening, too. We can put it in the description.
Cool.
Yeah.
Talking about this, I actually... I haven't told you, but I really appreciated you included some electric mandolin playing in the right or wrong lessons that you prepared.
Yeah.
That sounded... it sounded really true for the style, I think.
There's something about Western swing music. If you don't have electric mandolin in it, then it's not Western swing. It's just swing. You know? But thanks for saying that, man. Yeah.
And those lessons are not published yet, but coming out pretty soon.
Yeah. Keep an eye out, right?
Keep an eye out. So any other like interesting from the community? Something you want to highlight?
I was interested to see this. Lynn Jackson, who's one of our community members, she posted that she's listening to this Butch Baldessari and David Schnaufer record, and it's really cool. It's mandolin and mountain dulcimer. Which is, we're talking about interesting music or like mandolin combinations earlier. That's not one that I had really heard much before.
No.
But I was really glad that Lynn posted that, because Butch Baldessari, for those of you that don't know, was a great mandolin educator. But kind of, I would say, underappreciated mandolin virtuoso. Butch was an amazing player and died too young.
From the Nashville area, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he even made an impression all the way to Falun, Sweden. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's right. You have one of his books or something.
Yes,
like that,
I got his books. Yeah.
That's
really good. Yeah, that's interesting. Dulcimer mandolin, cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really Really cool. Scanning through the answers here. Some new Nickel Creek people are saying, because Nickel Creek just dropped a new project.
Yes, I've listened a lot to that also.
Yeah, it's like you have to, if you're a mandolin player, you have to listen to that whenever it comes out, right? It's required.
Yeah, but I think this new stuff is best things I've heard with them. Yeah, even if I was blown away when I was 20, this time I'm again blown away.
Yeah, it's so fun to see those guys kind of grow and keep delivering this amazing material like that.
Yeah.
They've been playing together since they were 4 or whatever.
And this, I mean, it's now the music is so raw and acoustic, and so they kind of. And still they are kind of delivering something sounding as produced, and but it's just very interesting it's such a high level, so it's amazing.
Yeah, go listen to it, people.
Yeah, go listen to it. I think I mentioned I've been listening a lot lately to Andrew Marlin's. Well, it's sort of like discovering his instrumental work that and just loving the 2 albums he did. I think he released them in 2022, so last year. 2 complete albums with instrumentals only, and after been listening to them a lot, I'm now just going through all the his song material also. And even his new project, have you heard them? The Mighty Popple? No?
Mighty Poplar.
Poplar, it is. Mighty Poplar, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
Oh, really
kind of
good.
Another super group recombination of some of the best acoustic musicians out there, right?
Yes, but what I'm actually... his instrumental albums, I can highly recommend them for everyone. And talking about this, I feel like playing back a little bit of your new album.
Yeah, man.
As far as I know, this is a traditional tune, Alabama Jubilee, right?
Yeah, it was kind of a Tin Pan Alley tune from like 1915. It's like a jazz tune that like the hillbillies like us took control of,
Okay. Yeah. So let us listen to the first minutes of the song, starting out with a guitar leading, and then you are like going into your mandolin break, and we're at
exactly.
How long is the complete track?
It should be like a couple minutes long. Yeah.
Let's. If we're not listening to the whole song, people can go find it at any streaming platform, basically.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, all the regular ones, even YouTube.
Cool. So I'm just crossing my fingers that the tech will work here, so everyone can hear it. But I'm doing it like this, and here it's coming. No, it's not, but we do it again.
Yeah, man, there it is.
And it's still playing here for me. I'm gonna try to. Yes. Well, and I cutting it off there, and hopefully that will not put the podcast in some copyright spam filter or what they call it.
No way, man. Yeah, we'll fix it.
Yeah.
I'm the copyright holder, so we'll fix
Yes,
it.
yeah. But the AI he won't know our
Exactly.
connection, so
I might have to talk to the AI to
Yeah.
get it. That's great. Thanks for playing that track, man.
Well, yeah, really, really nice. And it's like starting this chord progression, like almost reminding me a bit of Sweet Georgia Brown or some of that.
Yeah, it's a circle of fifths chord progression. There's something about those tunes from like the teens and 20s where like the jazz writers of that time were like, that was like the main mechanism that they used, right? Like this 5-to-1, 5-to-1 kind of perpetual chord progression thing.
Yeah.
But I love playing over that tune. It's a fun one to,
really
mess
cool.
with.
And on the album, is there also vocal tunes, or is it mostly?
Yeah. So it's actually mostly vocal tunes. We've only got like 3 or 4 instrumental tracks on there. And then most of it is the vocal. We tried to cover the original material that the Kentucky Colonels played back in the day. Because like they did a lot of cover tunes and standard bluegrass tunes. But when we kind of started, embarked upon this project, we were all talking about how not many people have recorded the tunes that the Kentucky Colonels actually wrote themselves, So a lot of the tunes that you'll see on this album aren't bluegrass standards, but they are written by the White Brothers and stuff like that. So kind of some cool gems of bluegrass music.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have a listen to it.
Yeah, please do. And once again, for anyone out there who's interested in finding the album, you can just search Appalachian Swing. Remembering the Past is the name of the album. And you can find that on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon, YouTube, any of the places that you find your music. So.
You name it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also promised to talk quickly about the monkey mind and that I started our conversation today before started the recording, letting you know that my workflow is terribly interrupted and I am just and different things going on. But one of the things that is I'm again into this tech struggle thing, trying to and. It's so frustrating, and but I think I'm now seeing a solution for it, and it's actually moving back to the small studio space again in the white room where I'm actually right now.
Yeah. So what's been going on? What kind of led you to this point and figuring that out?
Well, it's my wife, who is also a musician, and me sharing this studio space, and we are both now want to record some audio music, sort of, and so we realized that we could set up a good audio recording place in the small room where I am right now, and we're starting preparing for that. But I even started to record a few tunes that I'm preparing now, and it sounds way better in this room because we can that it's more damped.
Yeah,
and yeah. So, but suddenly, then I'm gonna record some videos, and then I'm into the big room, and then today I was about to do a podcast, realizing that. My Mutu hard sound console doesn't talk to Skype where I'm doing my and I'm like it's like so frustrating. So now I had to go for the USB mic to get this done, and it's just frustrating. And then I just come back. But actually, when I had everything set up in this room, I was pretty much all good, except
it just worked.
I didn't have the the nice shallow depth of field with behind me. Look, but I think I'm gonna just I'm gonna sacrifice that to have everything set up in this small room with the camera, the mics. I can record both video and audio very well, and it's
I think that's a good decision to come to. The way that you're describing it to me, like it sounds like pretty much the only thing we're sacrificing by you moving back to this space is just that shallow depth of field, right? So like that's no big deal then, right? Yeah, let's get your tech working.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, of course, when me and Lena is recording, when me and Andra is recording our songs, the big room is better. But that's like happening maybe 5 days in a year.
So it's worth just tearing it down and setting it up there.
I think that's where I'm at. And and the only thing, because me and my wife we wanted like some, because we hadn't in this studio space, we didn't have proper like monitors or a good place to reference listening, and so we were planning to do that in here. But if I'm bringing back the camera to this room, the speakers that I had planned on the stands, there's not room for it. So I might actually. I'm talking about this. So this has been going on for 3 weeks, maybe, this whole thing, and it's like my list of things that I need to buy is like getting longer and longer. But actually, now when I have settled here, maybe if I could have some small studio monitors in this room, then maybe then I'm all good.
Yeah, man, that's it's interesting to notice these things, right? Like because you mentioned the monkey brain and your mind is all over the place, and like you start freaking out, and like you said, you start making a list like, oh man, if I want to stay in the big room, I need $3,000 worth of gear and all this kind of stuff. But then it sounds like you maybe came upon like an elegant, cheaper solution, right?
Yeah, and I hope so. And so that's actually one thing I wanted to pick your brain on. What is a studio monitor recommendation you have? I mean,
the ones that I'm using right now, I have been so happy with them. They're one of the most affordable options out there too. It's KRK is the brand name. KRK. Yeah, and then Rokit is the ROCKIT is the model number on it. But the KRK Rokits, man,
Rokit.
Yeah, I had a professional studio engineer kind of recommend those. Or it's ROKIT. Excuse me, I misspelled it.
ROKI. Rokit.
Yeah.
Not rocket. Rock.
Yeah, like I would say rocket, but that's because
rocket.
I'm,
rocket.
American. But I'm looking at these now. 5-inch studio monitors. They're called. They were the best reviewed ones on Sweetwater for the money and all that kind of stuff. But I have been super happy with them, and honestly, dude, not only do I love just listening to my own recordings for reference on them, but I'll come down here and just listen to music in my studio now because I really like the sound of these monitors.
Yeah, cool.
They even make a subwoofer that will go with it too if you want, like that kind of thing. But that's just for people listening right now, if that's like a thing you're interested in.
Actually, because a lot of people around here use they call it Genelec. I think they're made in Finland, and I'm not sure if it's only like a Nordic thing, people using Genelec, or if it's like an industry standard, or also in the States. But
I would say industry standard because I see those all over the place here.
You do, okay?
Yeah, and the Genelec monitors are great. These KRK monitors are about half the price for a set of them.
Cool.
So, and I really enjoy the sound.
Yeah.
I mean, if you enjoyed, here's a good way to put it. If you enjoyed listening to music in my studio, because I know we did some when we were here, you were listening through those KRK monitors. So
yeah, because I think that's about like I can't. I picture them, and I like the size of them. I mean, they would fit this room.
Yeah.
And I actually got, because we got two like big, and it's not even like studio monitors. It's more for, you can even almost use them as a PA monitors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I got them in there, but they are huge.
Yeah, big ones.
Big ones. Thanks. I'm gonna look it up. KRK Rokit 5-inch. You said.
Yeah, 5-inch powered studio monitors. They're, I couldn't be happier.
No. Cool. And I'm a bit honest to sorry, not honest.
Yeah.
I'm, what is it? Embarrassed to admit that I've listened to the computer speakers and headphones when mixing all my videos and all that. Even mixing like the Mandolin tremolo. Yep. I just go back and forth, and then I listen through some monitor. But I should have some proper monitors here. So,
I think, audio engineers would agree with you, but here's the deal, man.
Yeah.
Most people, like the way that I justify this, most people are listening to our material on headphones and computer speakers or phone speakers.
Yeah.
So like if you get a good mix there, then you can at least determine that most people are going to hear it well. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. But I have a number of tunes that I want to record, like really good. And it was actually the other day when I was, yesterday it was, I guess, I was trying to do proper recordings for this new tune, My Blomman. Hayes have heard it. And it was so much fun to be in this room, because I even put something on the floor here now, and the curtain, it's all damped. And I was able to, when I was trying to mix it, I was doing some EQ and also playing around with a reverb. It felt like it was so, I could modify it so more exactly, more than in the room. And with other recordings I've done myself, when there's so much room.
Room noise, or the natural reverb of the space, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't add reverb very well to that if there's already some kind of.
I've always done it, but I felt the difference now working with some, because this is like a recording booth almost now. And it was a big difference, and I felt like the creativity came alive, sort of playing with something that was not flexible, but
Well, I just remember from being in that room last summer. We need to get you a good fan in there if you're moving back.
Yes. True. Yeah, it's only no content creators summertime.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the July, it's gonna get pretty warm in there, right? Yeah.
So let's we're going quite long as always, but finishing up with the last question we got there. Does your instrument need a setup now that the weather is warmer?
Yeah. That's an interesting one, It's funny when I put this to the community. I think a lot of people were surprised when I asked it. They were like, "Is this something I should be thinking about?" Because I think a lot of them were like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was like a thing."
No.
So I'll say to anyone listening right now, as the seasons change, definitely consider getting your instrument set up, or at least monitoring it yourself to see if it's not playing as well, because the weather. Magnus and I talked about this when he was buying his new mandolins this past year. Like, you can tell right? When the warm weather comes back, that top starts to swell back up on your mandolin, and the action maybe gets a little higher and all this stuff.
Yeah, and I guess also for people, if they're should I pay attention to it, and I guess don't fix anything that is not broken. So if you are okay with it, that's fine. But if you are, well, pay attention to it, and it might work, but it might also need adjustment.
Yeah.
So I think in my case, I need adjustment.
That's great advice, man. No, because I think most people just aren't even aware that their instrument is changing. You know, like they see it as like, well, my mandolin is set up, like it doesn't need anything different, but like that wood is shifting and changing over time. So just knowing that happens, like you were saying, you know, that can help you notice if something is it more difficult to press those frets down over time, or are you hearing some buzzing, you know, that kind of stuff.
And interesting for us is that I've been in contact with Don McRosty the last week.
Yeah.
So he's giving me advice because my new red diamond mandolin needs a bit adjustment at the moment, and I'm actually ordered a few tools that I need that I don't have. So we're coming in here. Hopefully this week I will get the tools so I can make a small truss rod adjustment. And maybe I also bridge adjustment I will do.
Yeah.
And maybe I also will do some little fill into the nut slots. And I'm going to send you the responses I got from Don, because this is like pro tips. So you want to copy paste it to your document.
Absolutely. No, I'm into that, man. Yes. Anything that Don McRosty says we should be doing to our mandolins, I want to know about it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's very, very good stuff. And even like surprising stuff. Like I can mention one thing that everyone will kind of see as a little bit surprising thing. Because, for example, filing the nut slots. For the top E string, that is like 0.11 or 0.10 dimension, he's using a 0.20 file, for example. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And so making them, but he said you can do it as to 0.13 even. So slightly wider than the string, of course. But I wasn't aware that it could be that wide.
That's surprising to me, honestly, to hear that too. I know that because, you know, we've talked about best friend Jacob multiple times on the podcast here. He studied with Don McRosty, and he always talked about using a wider file. And I think the idea is that it like carves, you know, like a V. Like if you use a wider file, like a V in the nut slot, so that the string rests exactly in the center and it doesn't pinch at the top of the nut. Because if you use like a 0.11 file for a 0.11 string, it might not fit down in there exactly. So I've heard him mention things like this before, but I want to hear Don's thoughts on this one.
Yes, and talking about it, what do you say? Greetings to what was I about to say? Well, I want to acknowledge Jacob for doing a setup, because this one is he did set up for me, and at the moment I'm actually preferring this setup to the other one.
Yeah, the Hakala is playing better than the Red Diamond.
Yes, and it's perfect. And I kind of something maybe I also realized that. I like a little bit of relief in the neck. Because I can actually set this because of it's slightly higher here. I can set it slightly lower in the bridge, and it plays perfectly now. And I haven't touched anything on this one for this season. I had to change it in the autumn, I remember, but maybe it's kind of. Well, I'm not sure.
It's settling in as an instrument, maybe, right?
Yeah.
The Red Diamond is very new.
It is very, very, very new.
Yeah.
And it's so, but I'm I'm really looking forward now getting it, because I need the exact like wrench. No, one not, but for the truss rod tool.
Yeah,
the one
like a hex key or
hex
Allen
key.
wrench.
Yep,
Yeah.
the hex key. So yes, it's got, and also I ordered some new files actually.
Some
So if I
files, man, that's great.
And I'm not sure if I need it, but I want a set of these so I can take care of it myself.
Be careful if anyone else figures out that you've got a set of those files around. Guitars just start showing up at your house and for setups, you know.
I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah.
No, but I had a few of these, but some spare parts from some luthier gave me at once, but I can't even read on them any longer what dimension they are, and I will not use them. There's a reason why they get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
if you have to get your calipers out to figure out what the thickness of your file is, maybe it's time for a new file, right?
Yeah. Well, really nice talking to you, Hayes, and thanks for people dropping in and out of the live stream today.
Yeah, it's been fun to get back on the horse with this. Really glad to see you out there.
Yeah. And we can also mention, I think we said it last time even, that once a month is the pace of the podcast at the moment. So we can look forward to another episode in late June, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. Anything you want to add, Hayes, before wrapping things up?
No, just a little bit of a recap. If you guys want to find the new Appalachian Swing album, just search that on Spotify, Appalachian Swing, Remembering the Past. And yeah, really appreciate any of you folks checking that out.
Thanks. I will check it out. And until next time, please remember, always be a music maker.